Pittsburgh now is one of the top teams in the AFC record-wise.
Yes.
They're number one in the AFC North. And they have a shot to be the top seed in the AFC.
Yeah.
So you would think that they would be contenders based off of that. Well, not so fast here. Dan Orlovsky went on Get Up and discussed that he is not buying Pittsburgh as AFC contenders. So let's play that clip for you, and then we will respond on the other side.
Is this Steelers team a Super Bowl contender?
I do not believe the team is a Super Bowl contender. I think the defense is Super Bowl caliber. I do not believe this offense can go in the playoffs against Josh Allen and the Bills, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, or Lamar Jackson and the Ravens and be good enough. It's been awesome. Russell Wilson's played fantastic, but the two issues are, one, they're poor in the red zone. Statistically, Russell's the worst red zone quarterback in the NFL right now. That's not an opinion. It's statistics. And then the second thing is, in the last 3 weeks, what was the big concern with Russell Wilson overall when it comes to his play? Holding on to the football.
Yep.
Sacks, right?
Negative plays.
He's got 11 sacks in the last 3 weeks. It's third most in the NFL behind a player like Caleb Williams. That's been the story of his whole season. So if you're the Steelers, you love the defense. My job is not to be a cheerleader. My job is to figure out why things will or will not happen. Okay? I don't believe that because of the lack of red zone performance and Russell holding on to the ball and not having those shots to take downfield, I don't think that offense is Super Bowl caliber.
All right. So here's the thing. It's hard for me to say that the Steelers are not going to contend in the AFC because they did beat Lamar and the Ravens again. I think it's matchup based, but I think Dan does have a point here with the Steelers are an explosive offense, but they aren't an efficient offense in the red zone, Zach. And that's going to matter. We're 6 field goals against, and we're going to take Lamar and the Ravens out. And I hate doing that. But it's no longer a fluke saying it's the penalties. It happens every time they play Pittsburgh. Every single time they play Pittsburgh, weird shit happens. But is Dan kind of onto something here that they are not as efficient? And now if Justin Fields may be different in the red zone, but Russell Wilson, the numbers are what the numbers are, Zach.
Yeah. No, Dan has a brilliant point. I think he's spot on. I don't think this offense can go out there. And once again, I'll take Lamar Jackson and the Ravens out because they own Lamar and them. That offense stifles against the Steelers. So I'll take Lamar Jackson and them out of it. I don't think this Steelers team could beat the Chiefs in the playoffs. I don't think the Steelers team could beat the Bills in the playoffs. I think the Steelers team would struggle with the Chargers in the playoffs. Is that to say that I don't think that we've seen them all year go out there and just simply find ways to win? They might do it. We've seen Mike Tomlin will teams, this defense, win games because they've done just enough. But if I was to put my money on the Steelers either making it to the Super Bowl or not, it's impossible for me to say, yeah, they're a top 3 team that I think makes it out of the AFC. Even though their record says they are, when you look at the schedule, yeah, they beat Lamar Jackson and the Ravens on 6 field goals. It's hard for me to see that winning against a guy like Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen right now.
Yeah, I here's what I'll say to this. We've seen it before.
Yeah.
We've seen it before in Baltimore, where a team just absolutely dominates on defense and the offense has moments. We've seen a Baltimore team win on nothing but field goals with a should-be Hall of Famer Matt Stover. I think if we're talking about actual contenders, we're not saying who's going to win the Super Bowl. We're not saying the Steelers are going to win the Super Bowl. But if we're going to talk about teams that are in contention, I think it's a bit naive to say that the Steelers aren't going to be contenders only because they are finding ways to win games. And if we can say that the Chiefs are finding ways to win games and they're not pretty, why can't we say that about the Steelers? And I think that we can.
Yeah.
They're finding ways to win games. Their offense is trying to figure out still this late into the season, but the defense is undeniably dominant.
I think that they're also a completely different team when it's in Pittsburgh. Like the ugly, just scratch and claw, duke it out games. If you got to go to Pittsburgh in the playoffs,
yeah,
I'm not saying I'm haunted by the idea of going to Pittsburgh. I'm not afraid of going into Pittsburgh to play the game. But to your point, Brad, their brand of football, no one likes playing fugly more than the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Well, and you're going to get your ass beat.
If you get in that style game, Pittsburgh usually wins that game. But the one thing that's changed is that Russell Wilson does have the connection with George Pickens. But the one thing in the playoffs, as we know, and it happened with the Bills last year in the playoffs against the Chiefs, if you don't capitalize in the red zone and the team that does, that's going to be the difference. Because that's why Buffalo got taken out by Kansas City. They drove down the field. They ran the ball well, but then they couldn't get in the end zone enough. And Kansas City capitalized on their chances. Now, I know Trevor Bass missed a field goal, but take that part out of it here. Touchdowns in the red area are what's going to matter here most, which then I think a lot of teams are going to be in this type of race of it this year, which is kind of different than previous years when you think about it, right? So I'm with you. I can't take Pittsburgh out of this conversation.
No.
But I do think if I was going to say Buffalo, I think matches up better with them. Kansas City does. If they played the Ravens, I hate to say it, but that's going to be an advantage for Pittsburgh because they know how to play those types of games.
I do. It's just also, we talk about what a shit show the Colts have been this year and what a shit show the Cowboys have been this year. That's the two Steelers losses. They lost to the Cowboys at home in Pittsburgh. The shit show Cowboys.
They're a good football team, though.
So
they're a good football team.
According to
the Baltimore Ravens also lost to the Brownies. So, I mean.
Yeah, but I'm saying I think this team is at any point, like we've seen them be this team that can scratch and claw way to a win with twice this year. They've won by kicking 6 field goals, no touchdowns. I think if you play Patrick Mahomes, if you play Josh Allen, that's not going to cut it. I just don't
disagree.
think that
we look
that
at
wins.
Patrick Mahomes. We've already known that he's 15 and 11 touchdowns interception ratio.
Yeah, but that
he throws that many. The both defenses are going to have to show up in that game if they play each other. I just don't think that Patrick Mahomes is getting it done.
But
maybe the old Patrick
Mahomes against the Steelers defense more than I trust Russell Wilson against the Chiefs' very good defense right now.
That's fair.
Yeah,
so I think that's where the matchup is. At that point, it's two very good defenses going against offenses that are kind of middle of the row this year, middle of the pack. And if you're going to give me the middle of the pack offense led by Patrick Mahomes or led by 5-year-old Russell Wilson, I'm gonna have to give it to Mahomes there.
So I'm with you on that. And Mahomes and that group, they deserve the benefit of the doubt. Why? They've only won the last 2 Super Bowls. They've continued to be in the hunt for it. So we'll see how it plays out. But if Pittsburgh, their philosophy is going to be, don't hurt yourself, no self-inflicted wounds. Yeah. Play good defense and see what happens. If they can do that, they're going to be in games. Are they a better team than the Bills? Or do we think that they're better than the Ravens or the Chiefs? Probably not. Even the Chargers, who the Ravens are going to play.
Yeah.
But do they know how to win with who they have? Does Mike Tomlin do a great job of keeping those group of men together and fighting and finding a way? They do it just as well as anybody. But talent-wise, of those teams, they're probably tiered down. But I guess this leads into the question. What do you got? Last thing, Brad?
Last thing for me was best coach in the league, Mike Tomlin. Can we all agree on that?
I still got to go Andy Reid.
Yeah.
I'm still going to
going.
Yeah. And Spags. Andy and Spags. That combo
Tomlin
right there
is top 2, without doubt.
Yeah.
I think it's flipped between he and Reid, depending on what you want to prioritize right now.
I would also, I'm just going to say this.
He's doing a lot with less, is all I'm saying.
I'm going to
Mike Tomlin's doing a lot with less.